What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Revolution. So today I wanted to bring up a topic about gaming systems in general, and I don't mean gaming systems like console, I mean systems in general in play, mostly because, you know, for this new event that we basically have for the Magic Celebration event, one of the requirements was that you basically had to do training grounds. I think this was part of the new one, is that you basically had to do training grounds for a certain amount of time. So it was like 6 hours, I think, was what you needed to do to complete it. So I finally completed 6 hours of training time, and 6 hours of, you know, basically training time in order to get the rewards. And to be honest with you, I am pretty disappointed with here it goes, the holiday celebration event. It was training grounds, something inside one of these. So here goes the thing that I really did not like. To put it into words, having time gated activities makes no sense. I'm going to try to be clear about this. So I am currently set at level 106 at 62.25% XP, right? And you basically get 3 hours a week for free to do training grounds, just to show you guys and prove to you, so that way you don't question whether or not I've thought this through like I've done in some of my previous videos. I've completed the mission chain for the story, and I've completed Chains of the Abyss as well, right? Meaning essentially that I've gotten my character to a place where I can do these. I can change out my, you know, my if I wanted to, I can change out my my badges and stuff like that to get a higher power level and be somewhere in the range of about 650 power, right? So competing in training grounds at this point, you would feel essentially as if though, like, you know, you should be able to level up in training grounds at the very least equivalent to how long it took you to level up inside Dark Zone. But that is not the case. And what I mean by that is, when we were all playing Dark Zone as a method to leveling up, it took you maybe 2-3 days, essentially 3 hours, right, to level up. Like, I think the longest that I went in order to level up my Doctor Strange, I think I had some troubles before the PvE servers, but it basically, let's say at max it took you 4 days. So that means that you had about 4 to 5 hours of training of Dark Zone time that it took you to get your character from level 1 to level 103, roughly, is where you finish out with the story, to level 110, because it was fairly simple and fairly easy. You were getting maybe about 70%, you know, 70% at the minimum when you were playing inside DZ per run, like if not more than that per level. So like, it really wasn't that difficult. Now with training grounds, they basically tell us that they're giving us 3 hours, and then we have to get another hour per week, basically, because the training tickets, let me go back into the inventory. Your training tickets that they give out right here are only really extending the time by an hour for every 6 tickets, meaning that every ticket is only worth 10 minutes. So you need 6 tickets in order to equate an hour. So they give you tickets every day now, so you get 7 of them. So that equates to a little bit of hour and 10 minutes that you get to do on top of the 3 hours, so 4 hours and 10 minutes. Well, you would hope that your expectation, because that's where we were at, 4 and 5, right, would essentially mean that you would have that inside there. So I've done a run. I'm gonna do a run completely on stream and kind of speed through it to show you what I'm getting. And I'm not exactly sure why, but I'm not leveling up the character as quickly as I expected to do inside training grounds. Nevertheless, to say that just alone, the thought of having a time gated activity to do something innate inside of an MMORPG. It is a MMORPG where we are being gated in terms of leveling up. And being gated mostly because they haven't figured out their own system. And what I mean by that is, why do we have a training ground zone in the first place? So now essentially this is turning into the good, the bad, and the ugly of training grounds, right? Is that essentially looking down the barrel of it? The good is that we are getting rewards from participating inside the training ground zone, and they're not necessarily bad rewards, especially because you get a lot of 2-star gear pieces, you're getting some cores, you're getting some supply boxes, some companion shard boxes, core boxes, and so forth like that. Even costumes, like you can see from here from my runs, I've got 26 1-star costume boxes, and these were greatly needed in order to level up your gear pieces, because you need something like 10,000 gear pieces to get to a 6-star piece, right? Which is just insane in and of itself, because basically you've tried to alleviate a system by introducing another system that puts more stress on the player that shouldn't be in the game in the first place, because we shouldn't have to have 10,000 pieces of 1-star gear in order to get to 6-star gear. That's absurd. It's stupid. Right, but we know why you did it, because you don't, like, if we had to extrapolate from Magic, we would say that we're not like I did it in one of the streams, how long before we get the next character? So before we get the next character, it's probably going to be 4 to 5 months if we had to guess on how long it took them to do this. So you're at the very minimum 4 to 6 months out from having a new character, unless they already had it in the design wheel, and it doesn't seem like they did for Magic. So we're basically looking down that barrel at maybe 1 to 2 characters per year, maybe 3 at best, depending on their design schedule and how far into the completion are they, how many team members they still have on the team. Now, the one rewards that I like the most out of this is these little Omega Flight medals. I think that these are probably the best rewards that you're realistically getting inside here, because the cores, we all know what the cores are, right? But essentially your core boxes and your Omega Flight medals are great for the Omega Flight, the convergence box fodder to use for extraction, so that way you can get rewards from there. That's essentially the best place that I find them. Like, to 100%, to be honest with you, that's what all those rewards equate to me. When I see a 1-star core, when I see a 2-star core, if it's not a 3-star or 4-star core, it means very little in this game, because the core system in this game has still yet to be fixed. Until you alleviate the concerns of players with the core system, it really doesn't make a difference at all that you're giving away cores, because nobody really cares about the cores, because we know how broken it is and the investment there. I did it on stream the other day, and I got a core, 5-star core, and then I made a mistake of just using it and deleting it, which was just bad. But so essentially this is probably the best use of the time, is just to basically generate, you know, articles, so that way I can use this to get better rewards, hopefully, right? But that's the good. It's just that they're giving out some rewards. The rewards, are they compensable? So for what you're doing, you can pretty much autoplay the training ground times. Now, the bad part about it is that we're literally looking at a gated activity that we could have already previously completed in Dark Zone. And you put a time limit. So you took the time limit from Dark Zone by saying we could only level up the character from, you know, for an hour a day, to now putting it inside training time tickets to say we could only pretty much level it up 4 hours per week. So you reduced the amount of training time that we could actually have to level up our characters, because that went from 7 hours to 4 hours. So you really put a gate on the activity. And this is where it edges into the bad, into the ugly, right? Because the ugliness of this is that, one, it relays an incompetency on the part of the development team at Netmarble for Marvel Future Revolution. And what I mean by that is there's an incompetency that is shown throughout the life cycle of this game so far, from having Alice Pac, or whatever her name was, on the Chilling with Danny Koo session, and exposing the fact that they were not aware of how these systems were going to be affected by us, the players. So there was no quality assurance from people outside their little inner circle to be able to understand, like, man, we thought it was going to take you 10 minutes, 30 minutes to, you know, fight off, you know, some of the bosses in the normal areas, but it's only taking you guys like 30 seconds. You're killing them. And like, that is an incompetency. I don't care how you look at it. It's an incompetency. Never would I go into a place and understand that, hey, I've got a system that I'm implementing, and the people that are going to have the implementing of the system are going to do far better with it than I could have possibly perceived. That means you didn't test the system properly. And so when we look at the training grounds, this is another place where we're like, that's where you didn't test the system properly, because we've got training time tickets, and you literally told me that now the only way for me to get these training time tickets are either through events or through shop purchases, right? Because the only place that we know where you can get training time tickets additionally, right, is inside the perk shop, meaning that I have to come over here. So for instance, there was this, where is it at? So there was a new daily training membership ticket, right? So that's essentially saying that you are selling to me for $8.99. You're selling to me the daily training membership. There's crystals per day, a new pack. But that means that in order to get more training time tickets, because this is the only place I've seen for you to get training time tickets, is to go in here and purchase this. So you're essentially selling me an essential part of the MMORPG experience, which is leveling up my character. Right? Leveling up my character is part of the MMORPG experience. Nobody wants to be in a experience where that activity, which is core to the play of the characters and core to the nature of the game, is gate locked. It's time locked, and even worse, is paywalled. Like, why would you do this? Nevertheless, the insinuation that you guys don't, the developers themselves don't even seem to understand the nature of the fact that they've given us another zone in order to play and level up our characters, because we can't do this in the normal world zones. This makes no sense. You generated all of these areas that we go in that are instance dungeons, because they're not interconnected in any way, meaning there's no way for me to transition from area 1 to area 2, from area 3 to area 4, and have a seamless transition, creating either an open world or a sandbox world, right? Because a sandbox would at least be, Elder Scrolls Skyrim, for instance, or something like that, right? I mean, you have instances even in when you do like Bungie's Destiny, where you're going to these little sandbox areas and stuff like that. But these are too small to be considered sandboxes. That's the truth of the matter, right? And when we get inside this, I can't go to these normal worlds to level up my character. And the insinuation is that even if you made those areas, you would basically put a system of paywall or gatekeep, the gate lock the system, time gate the system inside here. This is going so far back in terms of MMORPG development. I'm talking about, these are issues that the MMORPG communities were talking about back in the early 2000s. Like, if you really know anything about MMORPGs, the systems that they are giving us in play, they're not even like my boy King likes to say, they brought over the bad systems from Marvel Future Fight. No, they didn't even bring over the bad system from Marvel Future Fight. They're revitalizing bad design from the early 2000s of the MMORPGs. Like, that's how bad it is, right? So it is, that's why I'm saying it is ugly in a sense. I'm literally sat at 106 for my magic, and that means that in order to re-engage inside here, I've got to use more training time tickets, right? Well, I've got 7 or something training time tickets, 10 training time tickets left. So that equates to maybe about an hour and a half of gameplay time, right? And that means it's the same instance as every fucking body else. So I've got to run in there. I've got to at least make sure that now I'm competing with the people for very sparse enemies, because they're really sparse inside there, right? They seem to be way more sparse than they are inside than they were inside Dark Zone. At least you can go inside Dark Zone and you could jump around, do some things, but this is just terrible, man. This is like, I think, like, so we get down to it, and basically the good, the bad, and the ugly of training operations. It's a terrible system. I'm gonna be 100%. It is truly terrible. It is eye-catching. So I brought up in my stream as well that MMORPG.com put out, a list of the top, the top current and mobile MMO RPGs to play. A lot of the developers have done that, right? And at the top of the list, there was like Black Desert Mobile, Genshin Impact, Albion Online, and a few others. And then Marvel Future Revolution made its way into like the top 5, top 6, and maybe even the top 10 for some players, right? And this is the truth in the case. I'm going to go about doing this and show you guys what I mean about it, not in this video, but in another stream that I have coming, that I've got planned. And basically, looking at a system like this, and you compare it to Genshin Impact, you compare it to Albion Online, you compare it to Black Desert Mobile, you compare it to all these other MMO mobile RPGs, and you really start to wonder, like, you guys aren't even in competitive nature with those guys in terms of actual design implementation. Like, you're not even in league with them. At best, you are capitalizing off of the Marvel IP space, which is good because we all want to see the system succeed. So don't be a dumbass in the comment section and ask me something fucking stupid like, why am I playing this game? Because I want to see it succeed. But in order for it to succeed, sometimes that requires harsh criticism. Developers cannot be coddled, so that way they be like, yeah, well, you guys are giving us the bare minimum for some shit, or you guys are just, you know, nickeling and diming us or whatever, and you don't say anything. If that's who you are, then that's who you are, and I might not be the channel for you. I don't do cuck, so you do you, right? But so basically, this is a system that needs to be reworked. It's a system that doesn't need to exist. They need to develop some way that inside these areas right here, like going in, I mean, I'm fucking going inside training operations. This is the really silly part to me, and I'll finish off here. This is the really stupid part to me, is that we're literally selecting Hydra America, Xander, Midgardia, or Sakaar. So we already know the level cap for them. So essentially, if you, the XP and the rewards are gated along this lane anyways. Why is it so hard for you to just make it that, okay, so when I go to Sakaar and I'm battling in the Sakaar region, the expectation is that I'm going to get level 100 rewards and just have these drop in the game? Oh, right, because you can't find a way to gatekeep, time gate the freaking activity inside here for me to get XP from these things. That's essentially what you need to be doing. Prime bosses in the areas, you know, normal event bosses in the area can drop some of these items at better, far greater rates. It gives people reason to go back to earlier areas. The best thing that you could possibly do is most likely just make it so that way all the areas drop XP and gear equivalent to your rate, to your level. So if I'm at 110, the badges in those areas should drop at 110. If I'm at 105, whatever, the badges should drop at these areas. If I'm at 90, then the badges in these areas should drop. So that way, if I go into Sakaar and somebody's trying to power level me, because this is something we've all delved into before, right? That the XP and the stuff that's there is rewarded at my level. So that way, you know, you don't have that happening inside there. It's just weird when you think about this stuff, right? That these issues that they're facing inside this game are decades old. These are not new issues. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. It is Christmas Eve here in the United States. Whatever holiday you celebrate, I hope that you have a great time with your friends, with your families. If you're celebrating it by yourself, please make sure to reach out to somebody, say happy holidays to them, and so that way they know that you're good to go mentally and emotionally and physically as well. And try to spend time with somebody else. Reach out. Maybe you're introvert like me, maybe you're like, you know, a hermit like me, but try to find the people that you can share the holiday time with, because regardless of whatever holidays you celebrate, this is a special time of the year because everybody's in that mood, and it's a great time. It's a great time. So enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, enjoy your loved ones, whoever they are and wherever they are, and reach out to someone, please. All right, guys, until next time, peace.